Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Eshomomo Imodu. Now, 3 years ago, the Tahrir Square in Egypt was a scene of jubilation after an uprising ended 30 years of Hosni Mubarak's dictatorship. But the country's path towards democracy was cut short last July when Mohamed Morsi was deposed by the army after months of protest. And since then, it has been more protests, military crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood, and high-profile political court proceedings. Now, recently, the interim president, Adli Mansour, issued a decree stating that presidential elections could get started as early as mid-February and no later than April the 18th, following the approval of the country's newly amended constitution. Now, what are your expectations as Egypt embarks on yet another journey towards democratic governance? Now, share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC Africa Today or send an email to africatoday@tvcnews.tv. Now, we'll take this report and Africa Today will be back. Thanks for joining us.
He is the most powerful man in Egypt, an army commander, defense minister and deputy prime minister. Field Marshal Abdel Fattah el-Sisi was once accused of being too close to the Muslim Brotherhood. But ironically, in July last year, he ousted the president who had placed him as the head of the military in the first place. El-Sisi polished the army's image by declaring that they are the guardians of the people's will. As Egypt draws closer to the elections, any campaign attempt will struggle to rival the Sisi fervour that's captivated the nation. Songs are being sung of el-Sisi. His face is seen on posters and even on chocolates before he's even announced his candidacy. But his lack of political and even limited military experience has been brought into question. El-Sisi asked Egyptians to give him the mandate to fight terrorism. The nation witnessed mass arrests, assassinations and a series of bomb attacks. It all surprisingly played to his favour, as much of the public saw him as a strong leader, fit to overcome the instability. Despite Sisi publicly announcing it was not his intention to rule the country, the way was paved for him. Interim President Adli Mansour promoted him to Field Marshal. On the same day, the Supreme Council of Armed Forces gave him their blessing to run for presidency. Egypt has witnessed the rule of 3 military men for over 60 years, and the revolution that seemed to promise change may now see another one return. But like Hamdina Sabahi said, if el-Sisi fails the nation, then who will the army side with? The people or the president? Haraz, TVC News, Cairo.
Now, Egypt's military was quick to quash a newspaper report that quoted Army Chief Abdel Fattah el-Sisi as saying he will run for the president. Now, the political calculation is becoming clearer by the day as Russia says it will support el-Sisi's candidacy. Now, joining us to take a look at Egypt on Africa Today, we have Austin Onwanze of the Political Science Department at the Pan-Atlantic University in Nigeria. We'll also be linking up on phone with Yusuf Saleh, spokesperson of the Students' Anti-Coup Movement of the Al-Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt. Now, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice having you
Thank
here.
you. Yeah.
Now, the presidential election, the elections in Egypt is just around the corner now. What will you make of all this?
Well, it'd be nice. Egypt is an interesting country, because Egypt was not known for this kind of democratic process. And if you go back to history, after the pharaohs, when the Ottoman Empire took over reins, and Turkey ruled Egypt for over 40 years. And in fact, over 200 years they have ruled Egypt. Foreigners have ever ruled Egypt with the help of the British. And in 1952, when Gamal Nasser, a colonel in the army with his colleagues, took over government, and they abolished the monarchy and declared Egypt a republic. And ever since, they were the first Egyptians to rule Egypt in over 200 years after the pharaohs. And so ever since, when he left office, I think he died, Nasser died, Anwar Sadat took over. Anwar Sadat disappointed Egyptians by making peace with Israel. And when he was assassinated for that reason, Mubarak took over.
Another military man.
Another military man. And, Mubarak did not help matters. He ran an oppressive regime, non-inclusive. The people felt that, the only way is Islam. And to help them out in getting government. And that was how the Muslim Brotherhood came up.
And eventually Mohammed Morsi took over. Yeah,
he eventually took over because the people, not because Egypt is not that religious, in the sense that Islam, is not the main in politics. They just use that to get into politics, to get political power so that they will be able to. And if you check back, anybody that ever conquered Egypt, ruled Egypt, the citizens tend to follow the religion of that president, of that leader. You remember in the 10th century as well, when Abu Kafu took over, he was a black man, a eunuch.
Now what bothers me is the Egyptians had a breather, and the civilian government came in, but they were not too patient with the civilian government, and they pushed that government out.
That's the point I'm getting at. There are not, because the military has always been, they always look up to the military for good governance, okay? And not really religion to get things right. So what happened then was that they went in, and the first time they're having a civilian and a cleric, a fundamentalist, Islamic fundamentalist come in. There is a huge disappointment. So that's why they now said, okay, we don't want this again. And then they asked the military to come back. They're more comfortable with the military than the civilian or any fundamentalist.
Now, the justice system in Egypt, do you think the people can really trust that system?
Of course. In fact, they use that. The justice system support the military. That's the only way.
So you have a military in Egypt that is like into every section of the system.
That's right. So it's such that there is no way in recent times or in the near future that Egypt will be comfortable with a non-military person, no matter how oppressive, because it's been for over 60 years. The military people have really, and they have run a system that the only attempt, if Morsi had done otherwise, the military just allowed him.
The military just allowed him. Now, El-Sisi is being trumped up as the man to take over, and even there's this open support from Russia. Now, if this happens, don't you think Egypt will be going backward instead of progressing forward?
No, I don't think so. Because one thing that you have to understand is that the Western democracy, they feel that democracy will solve every country's problem. But it's not so.
You think otherwise?
Yes, I think otherwise. So every nation has their own, system that will, especially if that economy is not as developed. Okay, the Western democracy, in a way, has a way of keeping, just maintaining the status for the developed economies.
Let me just put you on the hold. I have Yusuf Salem from Cairo. Now, Yusuf, nice having you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the latest political development with respect to the coming elections in Egypt?
Okay. First of all, let's say that a general who led the coup is the one who is controlling the country from the very beginning of the coup so far till now. And even if he's not going to run for the presidential elections, he is the one also is going to run the whole country. I mean, in the constitution, the new military constitution, he's given the authority to stay in position for 8 years. And of course, if one can make a coup once, he can do it twice. I mean, he's the president now, and it's going to be a rigid elections, and he will be the president. And even if, let's just hypothetically say, even if he's not, he's the one who's going to control the president. So he's the one who's running the whole thing.
Now, what do you think is responsible for this growing popularity of this man, El-Sisi?
I think it's the media. The Egyptian media is one-way media. It's only praising and chanting for the leader who made this bloody military coup. They skipped all his crimes, his war crimes, and they're praising him for just toppling an Islamic just rule. That's why he's like very popular and is everywhere now in Egypt, only for the media effect.
Okay, if he's this popular now, what is the situation with the opposition political parties in Egypt politics?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question?
Okay, I'm saying the opposition in Egypt, would you say that they are vibrant, that they're strong enough?
Yeah, whosoever is saying anything that's not liked by the coup, whosoever just say, I don't want this military coup to stand again and control the country, they are being killed in the streets, they are being detained and tortured inside the coup prison. So the opposition in Egypt is literally being wiped from the Egyptian community and society. So it's only one way. Either you say yes and you totally accept and surrender to the coup, or if you want to say anything opposing this coup, it means that you're risking your life, you're risking your liberty, or even your family of your members.
So we will say that it's like a repression, clamping down on the opposition, dissenting views in Egypt. Now, do you think this can push the country forward if we have an opposition that the voice cannot really be heard? Do you think it will move the country forward?
I'm sorry, the voice is really far.
I'm saying that if you have a situation where the opposition's voice is not that heard,
yes,
and it's like you must agree with what the status quo is,
yes,
do you think it can really move the system forward?
Submit. The opposition is just like the coup forces are just trying to force all opposition to submit to this coup. They're trying to show the world that the Egyptians are satisfied with what's going on in Egypt, and they're trying their best to stop all kinds of opposition. They're trying their best to stop demonstrations, protests, but even by crucial dispersal, like what happened in Rabaa, Holocaust, and Nahda. So they're just, even by doing massacres, they're trying their best. The coup forces are trying their best to stop any kind of opposition. But so far, for more than 6 months, Egyptians have been taking the streets every day, daily, to oppose this, even risking their lives and liberty.
Okay, thank you so much, Yusuf, for your time. Please just stay on the line. We'll get back to you. Now, a split is widening within the Tamarod, one of the groups instrumental in ousting Islamist President Mohamed Morsi. Now, some of its members say they support presidential hopeful Hamidine Sabahi, while others recently endorsed Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who is yet to announce his candidacy. Now, we'll go on a quick break, and Africa Today continues. Stay with us. Now, recently, Egypt's Supreme Council of Armed Forces gave Field Marshal al-Sisi the green light to run in the upcoming presidential elections, excluding Mohamed Morsi, who was democratically elected in 2012. Now, Egypt has been ruled by 5 military leaders since its independence in 1922. Now, looking at the past, what has happened before Morsi was ousted in Egypt and what is playing out again, the candidacy of al-Sisi. Now, what do you think is the future like for Egypt?
Well, the future of Egypt is in the hands of the military, let's face it. And there's, in my understanding, ever since I've been studying Egypt, and it will be it will take a long time. Now, Morsi missed out because the military allowed him to say, okay, let us even allow this man, since
No,
they said,
is that not worrisome when you use the language that the military allowed him?
Yes.
So you have a country that is as if they are in the pockets of the military.
of course, Egypt will remain for a very long time in the pockets of the military.
And is that good for the system?
Well, the question is the society making progress? If the society is making progress, fine. That's what they have accepted to run, the way they accepted to run their system. Okay? And when Morsi came into power, he was expecting to find the structure, the support that Mubarak enjoyed in office. But unfortunately for him, he found the cupboard empty. And he decided to build his own by amending the laws and taking control here and there and all that. Because when he came in, the military told him, there are no go areas. And he wanted to...
No, but this is a bad example for Africa. If you have a democratic system and you have the military just by the corner dictating the rules, then that society can never progress.
Now, the thing is that what kind of democracy the country decide to run? It's all up to them. Must they run the Western type of democracy?
Is there a military democracy?
Well, that is the thing. So, but the thing is that the military also, they can run a democratic way. Especially, Egypt has a great opportunity to grow faster, even with the military. Now, the democracy, when the economy, the people, they are developed well enough, like the Western nations, then the actual democracy can come to be able to stabilize the progress made so far. So the thing is that Egypt is carving a particular system for themselves. And that's what every African nation should be doing. The brand of democracy that France runs is not the same as the British. It's not the same as the US or Italy. Even in Switzerland. Okay? So they have different, we can call it democratic system. But if the rights of the people are not trampled upon, people's rights are not trampled upon, and they allowed, everybody's allowed to express himself, no matter who is in power, as long as the quality of life of the people, there's progress and quality.
But this is the same country that it is said that the military destroyed for several years, and Morsi barely was there for just barely a year.
No, but the military did not really. If you check Egypt economically, Egypt's economy has always been either number one or number two in Africa. South Africa, Egypt, and Nigeria. These are the three biggest economies. So you even find that with the British, and Egypt has made more progress than any other country in the Middle East. Okay, they are more secular in nature than any other.
I'll come back to you. Now we still have Yusuf Saleh on the line from Al-Azhar University in Egypt. Now, Yusuf, when will candidates begin to declare their presidential ambition, and who are we likely to have?
Basically, there is nobody from the last elections, from the candidate declared that he's going to run for this next presidential elections, except, let's say, one like Halim Sabahi, who's actually supporting the coup from the beginning also. So all pro-democracy and anti-coup candidates and groups and parties are just boycotting this process because it's under a military coup. And if we just participate, it means that we recognize the coup and we give it kind of legitimacy. So far, there's nobody from any ideology or any background from Islamic or Islamists. There's nobody from liberals or seculars even. It's only someone like Sami Aman, who is also a general in the military, and he quitted just last year. So far, it's only military. And I'm telling you, it's taken for granted, and we know it as Egyptians. Like the last constitution that passed with 98%, Sisi was going to win this presidential election easily with rigid thing, because I just told you that there is no opposition. And for instance, in this constitution, anybody who is just trying to make a campaign for no, for voting for no, they were detained and arrested. It will be the thing. Some people were trying to make a campaign for the one I told you, his name is Hamid Sabahi, and they were detained also. So it's only one way, it's only one person, there is no choice, there is no democracy. And this, the whole process is built in autocracy and military ruling that we have been fighting for more than 3 years so far.
Okay. Has any date been fixed for the election? And can you give us an update on the roadmap?
Basically, let's say from the very beginning, the map that the coup claimed to declare was 6 months for the elections and constitutions and everything. Now we're more than 8 to 9 months from the beginning of the coup so far, and they have not announced any kind of date for the presidential elections. Maybe when TC come back from Russia after giving his oath to Russia to be like the new colonizer of Egypt. But so far, there is no date, there is no timetable, there is nothing.
Yeah, thank you, Yusuf Salem, for your time on Africa Today.
Thank you.
Now, will you blame the international community for the happenings in Egypt?
Well, the thing is that whatever is happening in Egypt is maybe 70% internal. And
70% internal.
70% internal. And then the external forces. Because they wouldn't be doing this without the support of the major powers. You can hear that you mentioned earlier that Russia has supported. They have made some consultations. They want to restore peace in Egypt, and they feel that that the military, that Sisi, will be the one to restore peace in Egypt, and it's a concern for the international community. And it's a concern for the economy because Egypt is losing about $3 billion every year in tourism, what they generate, over $3 billion. And they're losing because people are not, going there. The people are scared, and tourism sector is in shambles and all that. But again, what could happen is that if the El-Sisi could just stay the period of 8 years, and then
stay 8 years.
8 years. And then hand over.
You have so much confidence in the military.
Because we have to accept it. This is the situation in Egypt.
Now, do you think the Egyptians will allow him to stay for 8 years?
Of course, Egyptians will. Only that
they're so impatient. The same people who within a year pushed out Morsi, you think they will allow him?
Yes, because Morsi was not running an inclusive government.
And you think this man is going to run an all-inclusive government?
I don't know yet, but I'm saying that the only way he can last and people will appreciate him is if he runs an inclusive government and let the people express themselves, even though it's a military. But again, in every society, you have some no-go areas. Because man is not completely free. Because if you allow man, he will behave like an animal. So these are the rules that will checkmate, situation.
But if we take Egypt as an example for Africa, what lessons, what signals are we sending to the military in other African countries? No,
not only the military. We're saying that every African country should evolve their own system that works for them. And that's what Egypt is trying to do. They felt that for Egypt, the military will always have their way. If you like, call it military democracy. But again...
That's a new coinage.
Yes. So if you find another... And that's one of the challenges we have in some of these African countries. So for Egypt, it's not religion, okay? It's purely bad governance that make people... and again, if the intellectuals support Sisi, now Mubarak lost the support of the intellectuals, and those intellectuals now incline themselves to the Muslim Brotherhood, with the hope that with Islamism they would be able to get a good governance. That was what happened. If he did not lose the confidence of the intellectuals in Egypt, it would have been difficult. If El-Sisi can have the support of the intellectuals.
So that is the way forward for them?
That's the way forward for them. So that he can have a successful government, and then he should not stay more than 10 years.
He should not stay more than 10 years.
8 years, 10 years.
If the people will allow him to stay.
They will allow him, and then we'll hand over to another military.
Thank you so much for being on Africa Today.
All right,
we appreciate
thank you.
this.
Thank you.
Now, many say Al-Sisi's chances of winning the presidency are high if he contests, as there are no major contenders for now in the North African nation. Now, candidates are expected to officially declare their presidential ambition in the coming days. But when you take your eyes off the upcoming election, you are left with the story of security crackdown. Now, political turmoil and growing insurgency in Egypt. That's our show for today. We'll come your way again. I am Eshomomo Imodu. And remember, this is Africa. Bye for now.